The tale of the three old men and their strange stories. The fisherman walked along a winding path, the salty breeze from the sea still clinging to his skin. The weight of his earlier encounter with the genie lingered in his mind, but the relief of survival gave him strength. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, he spotted three figures sitting beneath the shade of a gnarled olive tree. They were old men, each draped in fine yet tattered robes, their faces lined with the marks of time and wisdom. One of them, a man with a long silver beard and a staff carved with ancient symbols, raised his gaze. "Ah, traveler," he called out, his voice like the rustling of dry leaves. "Come and rest your weary feet. It is not often that the road brings a stranger to our company." The fisherman hesitated, but, drawn by curiosity, approached. The second old man, whose eyes gleamed with the sharpness of a hawk's, gestured to the sky. "The night is young, and stories pass the time well. Perhaps, if you have a tale, we shall trade you ours." The fisherman, thinking of his encounter with the genie, nodded. "I do have a tale, one of magic and peril." The third old man, leaning on his cane, chuckled. "Then let us begin. But first, hear our stories and tell us if you have ever encountered such wonders before." And with that, the first old man leaned forward, his voice carrying the weight of forgotten years. The first old man's tale. The first old man sighed, gripping his staff tightly. "My story begins long ago, when I was but a young merchant. I had a wife whom I loved dearly, but she harbored a secret, a gift of sorcery passed down through her family." The fisherman's eyes widened. "I was blind to it at first, until the day I found her speaking to a shadow that had no form. It whispered to her, and in return, she cast spells of fortune and misfortune alike." He shook his head. "When I confronted her, she wept, swearing she had only ever used magic to protect me. But I feared the unknown. In my foolishness, I banished her from my home." The old man's voice grew heavy. "I soon learned my mistake, for the shadow she had once commanded turned against me. It whispered to others, poisoning their minds against me. My business crumbled, my friends abandoned me, and I was left with nothing." He sighed. "In time, I found my wife again, but she was changed. She had built a life without me, and so I wandered, telling my story to those who would listen, in hopes they would learn from my folly." The second old man's tale. The second old man chuckled. "Ah, but my story is far stranger." He leaned closer, his piercing eyes glinting in the firelight. "I once had a brother, a man of unmatched intellect. He sought to understand the language of the stars, believing that if he could hear them, he would know the secrets of fate." The fisherman shivered. "And did he succeed?" The old man's smile faded. "Oh, he succeeded. And that was his downfall." The wind stirred around them. One night, after years of study, he finally heard them speak, but the voices of the stars were not meant for human ears. They told him things no mortal should know, things that twisted his mind. He fell into madness, whispering prophecies even he could not understand. The old man shook his head. "I tried to save him, but how does one save a man whose mind belongs to the heavens?" He wandered into the desert one night and was never seen again. The third old man's tale. The third old man, who had remained silent, finally spoke. My tale is the strangest of all.
His fingers traced the carvings on his cane. Once I was a prince. I had everything a man could desire: wealth, power, love. But I was not content. I sought adventure beyond the walls of my kingdom. He took a deep breath. One day, I came upon an ancient temple, forgotten by time. Inside, a single mirror stood, covered in dust. When I wiped it clean and looked into it, I did not see my own reflection.
The fisherman frowned. Then what did you see?
Myself, but not as I was. I saw the life I would have lived if I had never left my kingdom. I saw my people prosper, my loved ones safe, my art at peace. The old man's hands trembled. In my greed for adventure, I had abandoned what mattered most. When I turned away from the mirror, the temple vanished, and I was left with nothing but regret. He looked up at the fisherman, and so I travel, telling my story, hoping that others may make wiser choices than I. The fishermen sat in silence, absorbing their tales.
You have given me much to think about, he admitted. The first old man nodded. And now, tell us, traveler, where does your journey lead?
The fisherman hesitated. To a place I have only heard whispers of. A lake said to hold secrets beyond imagining.
The second old man's eyes darkened. The enchanted lake. The third old man placed a hand on the fisherman's shoulder. Then be warned. What you seek may change you forever. And so, as dawn approached, the fisherman set forth toward the lake, unaware of the wonders and dangers that awaited him. Join us next time as we follow the fisherman on his journey to the enchanted lake, where magic and mystery intertwine, and the true test of his fate begins. Will he uncover its secrets, or will the lake claim him as its own? Find out in the next tale of the Storyteller's Caravan.